1983 in film, the 35th anniversary. A lot of interesting films came out that year. I don't know if this is my favorite year. I didn't really understand the films that came out this year. I still haven't watched Terms of Endearment. Some films I really like. I don't know if they're the best of all time. I don't know which is the best out of the ones that I watched. I actually watched Flashdance this year. To review that later. A lot of pop, a lot of good music, Risky Business. Return of the Jedi came out that year. Return of the Jedi, there's been some coming back with that, with big Death Star sequence, the web window of the Emperor, etc. Really like the right stuff. I haven't watched The Outsiders yet. I would consider it a great year in film. I don't remember them that much. I don't know what I consider them in terms of the other films, but like, I feel like a lot of these films I don't understand, and it's better to not. Accessibility doesn't necessarily mean that the film's better. It probably makes the film worse. So there's that. I watched War Games once, didn't like it that much. Flashdance made a lot of money that year. The Saturday Night Fever sequel made a lot of money that year by Stallone. I don't know how many people consider that in terms of respect how good was that film in terms of everything. Stallone's career, in terms of compared to Saturday Night Fever. Saturday Night Fever probably a lot of people have forgotten about outside of like the Bee Gees soundtrack. I forgot it was a theme song for Octopussy for the James Bond franchise, but I like the fighting in the end was pretty interesting. They always joke around about how like that's the only Bond girl to have her own title in the name of a James Bond film. I've never watched Terms of Endearment, but I don't know, Simpsons fans that can't really complain. Fanny and Alexander. I should have done a review of that for Christmas. I don't like it the first time I watched it, but like I looked at how all the sets were designed with a lot of detail, and I really appreciated that out of the film. I consider it the best foreign language film. Largelle was pretty good with all the Dutch angles and the themes of how everyone was porn in the film. This really sucks. Like I really liked all the films of the year. I don't consider them the best, but I don't really understand them, and I don't know. 35 years later, and I still don't know if I consider it the best film or not. I watched The Ballad of Narayama. I remember it's pretty interesting. I thought it was going to be a lot more with the drummer. It was a drummer, right? Let me see. Oh, this is a different one. It's not the one I thought of. Interesting. So I haven't watched Tender Mercies. I think it was on Hulu before the Criterion Collection, but not anymore. Sudden Impact, the Jean-Claude Van Damme film? No, it's the Dirty Harry film. Nos Amours. I gotta watch that. Don't remember. Oh, as Suzanne. What's her name? It's not that sexual like you figure it would be. It's a very subdued thing. It feels very artsy, opposed to it doesn't throw you away with like it's like it doesn't feel like a triple X film. I didn't really feel like very intense. Harold Pinter. Howard Pinter used to be really big with like Seinfeld and stuff. I should probably get stuff out of the way. Well, Christopher Walken had a great year. He also had the interviewed Christopher Walken actually for the what happened during Natalie Wood's death by drowning. Christopher Walken was in a dead zone. 1983 had two had Videodrome and Dead Zone. Let's see Dead Zone. David Cronenberg films, and they're both pretty good. I feel like Dead Zone was underrated because like it felt more episodic rather than grand, like really artsy, like Videodrome was. But they're both like crazy. The psychological stuff between the head surgery that the main character has in Dead Zone was well researched, and I really appreciated it for that. I don't know if Scarface. Let me talk about Scarface because like that's pretty much the most straightforward film. Oh, Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence was this year. What a big Christmas year 1983 was. I think they had Christmas Story also. Should do a review on that. The Year of Christmas with the King of Comedy. Never Say Never Again was that year too. Meaning of Life. Kajikawa, well-produced films, very scenic. Don't remember if it was a great film or not. I'm gonna write stuff on my list. Christmas Story. Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence. Christmas Story. There's another Christmas film. Oh, Fanny Alexander. I go look at what the theme of what's it called was. Mickey's Christmas Carol was that year. Okay, Meaning of Life. Tom Cruise and Shelley Long and losing it. King of Comedy. Best foreign film. I didn't understand like any of them, but just looking at the list, I'm like Nostalgia by Andrei Tchaikovsky. Because you can never go wrong with Tchaikovsky. So I'm gonna write that down right now. Everything is like mad dramatic and drear, and the colors are so good. And a foreign language film was a foreign film. Okay. I don't know if there's any talking in that film. Everything's so silent, and you have to pay very good attention to like what is happening on the film. Charles 3D. National Lampoon's Vacation. Not Christmas Vacation. They go. St. Louis. Grand Canyon. I feel like that film's like never shown. Even European Vacation. Was Heat released that year? No, it wasn't. I mean, I'm definitely not going to compare Daffy Duck's Fantastic Island to that of Fire and Ice. Fire and Ice is probably one of the best animated films of all time, with its European band stuff going on, the nudity, so much going on. It's pretty crazy, pretty unique. You never made a film in that style, so it like sort of stands out. Souls, the sequels don't always help, etc. Turn to Oz, a Disney film. Oddly enough, when I grew up, I keep thinking it was directly connected to the 1939 film, and learned as a result that there was more than one Wizard of Oz book. They really haven't made advantage of that. I don't know. Oz being dark. The Wheelers were pretty cool effects. Let me see. Was it done by Jim Henson? Was it not that year? That's weird. Let's see. That's where it was. It's probably a different year, I guess. Or 1985. Crossing that out. Very nice. Was 1983. Good. So I guess fantastic. Daffy Duck's Fantastic Island is the best anime film of the year. That's many anime films that year, I guess. David Cronenberg, not only because Video Dream is awesome, but because he released 2 films that year. Al Pacino, Best Actor for Scarface. There's a whole controversy about him not being the right race, but he plays the role so well. I even know they really consider him. If I thought he actually looked Cuban or whatever, but like how he portrayed that character was really memorable. It was violent and all that stuff. I like Robert De Niro in The King of Comedy. He says the joke's so unfunny that it was funny, and I love that scene when he does that. It's a dark film about how comedies work, and it probably wasn't marketed well, but it sort of worked. I think De Niro liked doing the film because like he wanted to try comedy, and that was pretty good. Best actress, supporting actress. Why not Michelle Pfeiffer? Or probably the Makioka sisters. Let's see. Supporting actress. Michelle Pfeiffer. I definitely guess I'd give it more to Michelle Pfeiffer than the actress in Octopussy. Well, she's been in so many Bond films that was good that she finally got a nod. Oh, Mickey's Christmas Carol. That would be the most best anime film of the year. Or no, Fire and Ice came out that year, so I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, so best anime film was The Fire and Ice. I'd love to see if Christopher Nolan did like a version of Dead Zone. Just write down what I thought was best film of the year so that people could see it visually on the screen. Hope you guys enjoyed. I didn't do best supporting actor. But David Bowie's pretty good in Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence too, so that was pretty good. But I don't know if he's the main character in that film actually, so that's weird. Also give him best supporting actor, so it would be a lot easier. Oh, I think what's his name was nominated. Tom Cruise was nominated for Risky Business. Robert De Niro was nominated for The King of Comedy. Garfield Argent. Scarface is so memorable, like compared to the other films. I mean, acting in Scarface is probably the best in every film, so I want to give that best supporting actor. That is it. Hope you enjoyed.